Yeah, okay, I understand. All right. Yeah, I know, right? Okay, so there's this guy, he's this old guy, and his name's Sam. And the problem is that Sam needs to go to the dentist, but there's this thing that happens where every time he tries to go to the dentist, he makes the appointment and he goes there, and then he gets there, and then they say for whatever reason they can't give him what he needs. They've done this several times. He needs teeth. His teeth are missing, and so he needs teeth. And they need to perform a surgery in order to give him the teeth. And they say something about his gums and how, you know, his gums hold up and how they could put the teeth in. But, Sam has problems, right? When I moved in, Sam had problems with his knees. He was on crutches. And he doesn't use the crutches anymore, but, he's got problems walking sometimes. And sometimes he has to wear a really heavy backpack because he doesn't have a car. And he is in a situation where he has a house or an apartment, but it's in a trust. And his sister and his brother, who says he's a lawyer, presumably they're the ones that hold the trust. And yet there's all these things that he needs that they don't give him, right? Somebody busted through the front door. It was over a year before they repaired the door. They still haven't fixed the air conditioning. There's all kinds of problems with the floor. The dishwasher is like totally janked up. You can't even use the oven. The oven doesn't even work. They haven't fixed the electricity in the kitchen. There's a leak in the bathroom right over the bathtub in the shower. And there's other problems. There's holes in the roof, right? In the ceiling. The problem is that they don't actually do repairs. They make bids. So they only come and do something when it's a really, 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 really huge contract deal. And so all they do is use Sam to hook up contracts for other people. They hook up bids for contracts for other people. He used to work downtown with this guy who said he was a securities broker. And he had a daughter who worked at Rand, and he had some sort of competition he used to work with and stuff like that. But the guy was always insulting to him. There was another guy that worked in there. It was supposedly he hooked up deals connected, or he worked with people who worked in the hotel sector. But they had these job fairs with these hotels here in Dallas. It was horrible. You felt like you were going to some sort of like cow auction. They would have these things and they would be corralled, and then there would be all these weird security people standing around on their cell phone, and then they would follow you. And they would give you these papers that had these really weird things written on them. And it was weird because it looked a lot like the contract that guy gave me when Sam said he was going to go introduce me to that guy to help get me a job. Because I wanted to get a job. And I wanted to learn the stuff in order to get my own license. But when he gave me the agreement, he sent me an email that had the wrong name on it. And the contract, I couldn't even read it. I felt like I was being hacked. Like he was trying to sabotage me. Like it was some sort of like contract kung fu or something. And when I contacted him and I said, well, I need to talk to your daughter because you said your daughter's a lawyer who works at Rand and that she's the person who's the lawyer for your organization. Well, his daughter wasn't available for over a month. And after a month, they changed the laws regarding contracting in the state of Texas. I guess on one hand, I'm glad I didn't sign that contract before they changed the law. Right? Well, he hasn't talked to me. He hasn't called me. He hasn't responded. And then there's this other guy who says he works in health insurance. But I went and I talked to him in person. And then that day, the next day, they set up a hedge fund with the Supreme Court of Texas. You should have seen it. They literally have a 40-60 split on a caseload that's connected to a bipole with a 2080. Right after the guy was telling me about his friend who was a hedge fund manager from Beverly Hills. And then at the beginning of last year, the guy from Beverly Hills actually came to visit, and it was really fucking weird. And now the guy is gone. But it's been over a year and a half, and his stuff is still here. His stuff is still here in the dining room. But I don't know what happened to the hedge fund manager from Beverly Hills. Right? And I mean, it's one of these things where, Sam's an elder, and obviously he needs help. And presumably there's a trust that's supposed to be looking after him. But the people who, at least only in the last couple of weeks, said, they didn't tell me they were on his trust. Actually, they did. They told me that the lease was actually, they attended to the lease, that they took care of Sam. And I said to them, hey, I need for you to help me get some stuff I have and take it to the appropriate disposal facility. It's right here in the city. I know where it is. But you're going to have to bring a utility bill and your identification documents, and you have a car it's licensed and insured in your name, it would be safe for you to transport these things. Okay, yeah, we'll get back to you. They never got back to me. They never got back to me, and it's been the whole time I've been here, right? So I have to keep all that stuff on site because, well, I mean, then there's me, right? But it's not about me, it's about Sam. And so I'm just saying that, after all this time, you haven't done anything close to get Sam his needs. And apparently that's what this is about. It's not about me. It never was about me. It's about Sam. Why do they always only come out and do things for Sam when it comes to hooking up contracts for other people? Why is the only food Sam is able to get pasta and bread? He's got bread, he's got waffles, he's got bagels, he's got cereal. It's the only food. Every once in a while, maybe some lettuce. We used to have ice cream. We haven't had ice cream for over a year and a half, right? It's always bread, grain, carbohydrates, coffee. Every once in a while, soda pop. On rare occasions, you get some soda pop, right? So, I mean, why did you do that? Why do you only let Sam eat grain? Why is he only allowed to eat pasta? Why is he only allowed to eat bread? Why can't he have vegetables? Huh? Every once in a while there's a hamburger. Why isn't Sam allowed to eat vegetables? Why is Sam supposed to every single night leave in the middle of the night with his backpack on and go somewhere and usually come back with more bread? Almost every night he goes to the store and buys bread. Why? Why hasn't Sam gotten his teeth yet? It's been over 2 years I've been here. The dentist, even if he goes and he makes an appointment months in advance, the dentist is never ready to give him his teeth. Why? Are you going to get Sam what he needs yet? Are you? I mean, because you're very concerned about him. And he's a senior, and he's eligible. He's actually eligible to receive his Social Security benefits. It's not like somebody who's young who, is tapping into Social Security early, right? I mean, that's the point. You're really concerned about paying Social Security. I hear you. I've heard you all day. You were really concerned about making that sort of deadline. Okay. Sam is somebody, presumably, who's actually legally eligible for Social Security. And this is apparently about him. Why is Sam only allowed to eat fucking bread? Why am I personally not allowed to have my own job, including at a fucking food store, so that I can buy my own food? Maybe I could buy some food for fucking Sam. Why, when I went to get a job at a food store, that the only place that gave me a call back and accepted me to be hired was a place that had the same goddamn pension fund set up? Well, I mean, pension fund information is private information. That's above the tier level, right? For what you're in need of right now, as proof that you've been successful, I'm not supposed to admit that there's any cognizance or knowledge of private pension benefit systems. I'm not supposed to acknowledge I have any cognizance of what it means that presumably the mortgage is not in his name, but is rather in a trust where a family member is a trustee, right? I'm not supposed to fucking be that smart. You didn't fucking value me as being a goddamn fucking pass-through for something at that fucking level, because then somebody would have to pay taxes on it and report it as income. So we're talking about Social Security. So far as I know, he doesn't have food stamps, but he does get Social Security. Did somebody code him into their Social Security database as being on the other side of the fresh food bidding process, so he's only allowed to have grains? Did somebody use Sam as part of the offsets on waive-offs of retaliatory taxes or retaliatory tariffs from China? Have you ever worked one of those retaliatory tariffs from China when it comes to fresh fruits and vegetables? Have you? Oh, I have. Right? Is that what you put on Sam, and Sam just doesn't want to pay somebody else's tariffs? Right? Why are you offering Social Security through the embassies of other countries? The American embassy in other countries. Why are you having days to provide benefits and some sort of acknowledgement, signing up for Social Security benefits at the American embassies in other countries? Which countries only authorize food products made of grain, specifically wheat, like gluten? Like you are the worst thing that could possibly ever happen to my child who has a gluten allergy. You're all gluten. I can't possibly let my kid around you. Right? Is it the germs? Is it the kernels?